guys, welcome back. Today I'm here with 12 tips for attending Book Expo and BookCon in New York City. This will be my third year attending BookCon and my second year attending BEA or Book Expo of America, and I'm really excited about it. I do live in New York City, and so my tips are really going to be more focused on the experience of being at the event and less on finding hotels and accommodations, because that's just not something I have as much experience with. I wanted to make an updated video. Last year I did make a video giving my top tips for attending BookCon, but since I've now been to Book Expo as well, I wanted to make an updated video giving you guys some insight for those of you who are going to be doing this for the first time this year or just want some extra ideas. My first tip for attending BEA and BookCon is do your research, but also be flexible. There is a lot to do. Way more than you're ever going to have time to do. There are panels, there are book drops, there are signings, there are other events. It's really fun, it's really exciting. There are a lot of people, especially at BookCon, and I'm going to talk a little bit later about the differences between Book Expo and BookCon because they are very different events, even though they're held back to back. So like I said, tip number one is do your research, but also leave some flexibility. Look online. They have schedules that'll tell you a whole lot about what panels are going to be happening during different times. If there are some authors on panels that you really want to see, write those down so that you don't forget. Make yourself a list, have it on your phone with the locations and everything that you need to know to make sure that you make time for those events. But also know there's going to be a lot of stuff that's going to happen closer to the event that won't be pre-scheduled. Things like ARC drops. Some of the book signings and things will already be listed on the website, but then some stuff they don't announce and it just sort of happens. And this is where you want to work in a little bit of flexibility so that you can kind of do a cool thing that ends up happening. Along with this, I would really recommend following all of the publishers that you're interested in on Twitter. And for the duration of Book Expo and BookCon, I would recommend putting on notifications for them because a lot of times they'll have sudden surprising things that will only be live for a little while for people who are following them on Twitter. And so if that's something you want to be a part of, for some people that's too much, it's too stressful. If it's too stressful, don't worry about it. But if that sounds more fun, like a secret surprise ARC drop and you have to run to a location to go get it, or there's going to be a surprise signing from an author that they didn't know until last minute could make it, Twitter is going to be the place to get a lot of that information. You can also get some of the standard information about things that they're announcing beforehand from their websites or their blogs, especially as we get closer. A lot of them will have information listed about some of the things that are going to be available, and you can start really putting together your wish list of authors you want to see, ARCs you would like to get, and in terms of setting your expectations, know the differences between Book Expo and BookCon. For those of you who don't know, Book Expo is really an industry event. It is designed for publishers and librarians and bloggers and publicists and agents and people who are really in the industry. And so as a result of that, there are a lot of books made available complimentary for free at Book Expo because it is designed for getting the attention of people in the industry, people who are book buyers, people who are book sellers, and people who promote books like myself, for example. And so they practically like throw books at you. BookCon is not that way. There are some ARCs available, but they are in high demand and there are fewer quantities of them. There are a lot more books for sale than there are given away for free, whereas I don't think they really sell books at all during Book Expo. They're all complimentary. So just set your expectations in terms of what those are like and really think about what you want to get out of it, what's most valuable to you. I think if you're just going to BookCon and you go in not expecting to end up with a lot of books out of it, you're probably going to have a more enjoyable time and be less disappointed, which is something that I saw some people come out of last year with, and I think that's unfortunate. So go have fun, enjoy the experience, but try to set reasonable expectations for what it's going to be like. Tip number two is arrive early. You want to get in line early. And this is true for Book Expo and for BookCon. The reason that I recommend that you arrive early for Book Expo is that some of the author signings at Book Expo are ticketed, and they hand out those tickets early in the morning. They don't cost money, they're free tickets, but it's first come, first serve. And so if there are some of the bigger authors doing signings on a particular day that you would really want to see, people like Leigh Bardugo or Marie Lu, for example, were people last year who were ticketed, you're going to want to get there early so that you can get into the line to get the tickets and then to get into the show floor. You also will probably want to arrive early so that you're not in the back of a really long line. And if you are interested in getting some of the ARCs that are up for grabs, I would recommend being on the earlier end, because usually in the morning there will be some out that some of the early people might be able to grab. So if that's something that's important to you, I would recommend arriving early and expect to be in line. Which should probably be another tip. Expect to spend a lot of time standing in line. There's a lot of kind of hurry up and wait at these events. Standing in line for ARC drops, standing in line for signings. So you kind of have to prioritize what are the things that are most important to you. Thankfully, there are lots of books to read, and there's lots of great bookish people. That brings me to my next tip is have fun and be friendly. I know some of you may be introverts or have social anxiety and feel a little bit nervous about meeting new people, but in general, a lot of the people at these events are really great and wonderful, and you already have things in common. You're there because you're nerds about books, and so that's pretty cool. And you can end up making new friends, striking up conversations. It can be a really cool opportunity to meet people, and keep an eye out because you might see people that you know from YouTube there that you could say hi to and meet in person, which is really fun. One of the most fun things last year was getting to actually meet in person some of the people that I only knew through YouTube and knew virtually, and I'm really excited for this year because a lot of my friends and a lot of people that I have never actually met in person are going to be at BEA and BookCon, and so I'm really looking forward to meeting them in person and saying hi. My next recommendation is bring a suitcase. Especially if you're going to BEA. Your shoulders will thank you. Now, be aware, you are not allowed to have any suitcases or rolling bags on the show floor. However, what you can do is check your suitcase in the coat check room. I think it's like $6 a day maybe, and you can go back and forth. You can load up on some of the books or other things that you've picked up, and then you can take them back to your suitcase and have empty bags, and then you have a rolling bag at the end of the day that you can take home or take back to your hotel room. I especially recommend this if you are attending Book Expo, because I seriously underestimated the number of books that I would be coming home with, and for my first day, I carried them all around in tote bags and killed my shoulders. It was not a great choice. I regret not having brought a suitcase the first day, and it made life so much easier once I did that. You can check it, you can go in, bring your ticket, put books in it, take books out of it that you brought for signings, and leave it there, and then roll it home at the end of the day. So highly recommend this. This leads me to tip, which is bring a backpack and maybe a couple of tote bags. Odds are you'll get some tote bags for free at the events. A lot of people are giving out tote bags, but you might want to bring one or two of your own really sturdy ones that you know can handle a lot of weight, and bring a backpack. That's probably going to be your most comfortable way of walking around the show floor, in addition to your suitcase that you should have checked in the coat room. Tip number 5 is wear comfy shoes. Yeah, you are going to be on your feet, you're going to be walking, some of the time on concrete. Your feet will hurt by the end of the day. I highly recommend wearing comfy shoes. Yeah, let's just say that. Maybe go out and buy yourself a cute pair of sneakers or a cute pair of comfy flats that won't get too tight if your feet swell up by the end of the day, but like, seriously, wear comfy shoes. Like, it will be in everybody's best interests. Tip number 6 is bring snacks and bring a water bottle, because like I said, you're going to be excited, you're going to be standing in lines, and you're probably going to get hungry, and you're going to want stuff that you can access easily. Things like protein bars or granola bars or fruit or whatever. Bring those things, bring a water bottle so that you can fill it up in the water fountains, because of course buying water at the location is going to be super expensive, so I highly recommend that you have those on hand. But you should also make time to eat a real meal. So for number 7, let's talk a little bit about the food options that you're gonna have. BEA and BookCon are held at the Javits Center, which is the main convention center for New York City. They do have food. It is very overpriced, and it's okay. Think like if you were going to the zoo. They have hamburgers, they have chicken fingers, they have French fries, they have other options as well. all of it is like way more expensive than it needs to be, but it's super convenient. And so the convenience factor might sometimes win out over going out, because you're probably looking at like a 10-minute walk once you actually get outside the convention center, which you have to do first, and then probably about a 10-minute walk to get to some food options. There are some fast food places that are not too far away that you can get salads or sushi or tacos or whatever, but nothing is super convenient. Also, there are some like street meat food trucks that might be hanging out outside. I would recommend, if they're the little carts, that you avoid it, especially if you have a more sensitive stomach. Or you can brave it. I have generally not had the best experiences with those. If there are any legit like truck food trucks, great, go check it out. Last year there were not any. They do have them there for New York City Comic Con. It would be great if they brought them out for BookCon, but last year I don't think we really had any food trucks. So there are options. It is overpriced. You can go outside of the Javits Center as well to go and get other things, but it's inconvenient. So you're just gonna have to kind of weigh what you want to do. And if you have any food allergies, take that into consideration as well. The next tip is really for those of you who are attending BEA, less so for BookCon, but I would say be selective. As I kind of said earlier, they're practically throwing books at you, which as a book lover is really exciting because, oh my God, free books. Last year was my first time attending BEA, and I might have gone a little hog wild. I did not realize how many books there would be. I didn't realize. So this coming year, I am planning on really trying to be a little bit more selective and really thinking about, okay, what are the books that are actually on my wish list? And if there are books that aren't on it, like really consider, like, is this a book I'm really very excited about, or am I just like more excited about the fact that it looks mildly interesting and is a free book? I did say no to books last year, but probably not enough, not as much as I should have. And they're really trying to sell you on it. That's their job. They're publicists, they're marketing. They're going to try to sell you on books. If it sounds interesting and you think that you really want to read it, feel free to say yes, but maybe don't take everything. I think I ended up with like 80 books last year, and I maybe purchased 1 or 2. Some of those were finished copies, some of those were ARCs. Have I read all of them? No, I have not. I've read a lot of them, but there are plenty that I did not get around to, or ended up being books that I realized I wasn't as interested in as I thought I was. And so if I had to go back and do it again, which I'm going back to do it again, I would be a little bit more selective, so just be aware. My next tip is bring extra batteries for things and bring a charger for your phone, because you may very well run out of battery. If you do, there are charging stations for phones that you can access. They are on the middle level near the lower level Starbucks, which you'll find if you're on the Javits Center. Against the walls, there's a bunch of charging stations, so if you really need to charge your phone in the middle of the day, you can go hang out there for a while, which honestly might be good for some downtime, which is one of my other tips, especially for those of you guys who are more introverts, is make sure you leave space for you to regroup and don't overschedule yourself, especially into the evening, because it's a lot. It is a little bit crazy, especially BookCon. There are a lot of people, and it's very, very busy, especially if you haven't been to a convention before. It could be pretty overwhelming for some people. I love it. I love conventions. I go to New York City Comic Con every year, which is like twice as crazy as BookCon is, so I don't really have a problem with that, but I know it's a lot for some people to handle, so make sure you schedule downtime for yourself, time to just be alone, time to refresh your mind. If you need a minute in the middle of the day, go find a quiet corner, get a cup of coffee from Starbucks. There are 2 Starbucks in the Javits Center. The lines are a little long, but you know, eventually you'll get your coffee, you can go have a seat and caffeinate and regroup and get ready for more fun. Be aware too, they are really, really different crowds, which makes sense. As I said, Book Expo is an industry event, so there's a lot of librarians. It's mostly an adult crowd. There are not a lot of really young people. BookCon is not that way. There are a lot of teenagers at BookCon, a lot of teenagers, a lot of early 20s. It's a very different vibe. It's much more fangirl, which is not bad. It's great. Like, it's perfectly fine, but it's a very, very different vibe. You get much more serious sort of adults, less of the sort of fangirl approach to things at BEA, a lot more of it at BookCon. So be aware of the differences. I hope that this was helpful for those of you who are going. If you have any other additional questions, please feel free to comment below, and I am happy to help out in whatever way I can. I hope you have a really, really wonderful experience. I'm so excited about it. I'm gonna be going for the entire event. I will be vlogging, so those of you who are not attending will be getting that footage from me. I will be doing a book haul. It'll probably still be a lot of books, but hopefully I can be a little bit toned down from last year. So there you go. Those are my best tips. If you guys have any other additional tips for people who are looking for them, also feel free to leave those in the comments down below. And for your question of the day, have you ever been to a convention before? And if so, what was your experience like? If you guys like this video, give it a thumbs up, subscribe if you want to see more. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys next time.